All right, let's see what comes in the box. Screen wipes. Looks we got a instruction manual here. Actually comes with a screen protector. It's pretty cool. Comes with a USB-C to USB-A cable. And there is the device. You can see it's got 4 switches on the back. On the front, it's got the directional pad, menu button, A, B, X, and Y buttons, and the select start. On the bottom, it's got a headphone jack and the USB-C charging port. And on the top is a HDMI output. On the side here, you have the volume button, reset button. It does come with one 64 gigabyte memory card. And then on this side, you have a volume rocker. All right, so I've been using this RG35XX here for about a couple weeks here, and it does boast like 6,800 plus games on here. My problem with that is probably 90% of them you've never heard of before. I know I've never heard of them before, so to try and find games on here that you know and are nostalgic for is a little bit more difficult than you might think. If you are a fan of the old Pokemon games, then this is definitely good for you. It's got, through all the different systems, it's got a bunch of different Pokemon games. So you can play through those. It saves your progress and all that stuff. If you're looking for anything Mario, then like Mario World, Mario Party, Mario Super Mario Brothers, it doesn't have any of that stuff. It has 2 Wario games, which are similar to Mario, but not exactly the same. So if you're into any of the Mario stuff, there's none of that on here. It does have some Sonic stuff. It has a lot of like your typical, I call them like Tekken games, where you have like 2 fighters against each other. That sort of like arcade style game. It has a lot of like the older like Street Fighter, those types of games where it's just a character from the side and you're going through different levels and fighting enemies, that kind of thing. It's got a lot of older arcade style games as well, so if you like those. Overall, I don't think it's a system. I don't think this system is something you're going to be using for hours at a time. For me, it was a lot of short sessions, enjoying like nostalgic games I used to play on Game Boy and stuff like that. Um, but as far as like using it for a long period of time, I don't think that you'll be finding yourself doing that. Some of the PlayStation 1 games on here, like the Crash Bandicoot, that one runs pretty well. Although I tried to play the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit game, and it basically refused to load. So that was a little disappointing because I used to love that game. Now, what you can do if you're a tech savvy person, you can go on and find other emulators and download them to a memory card. And it does have a second slot on the side here for another memory card. So you could put another memory card in there if you know how to do all that stuff. I didn't really get into that. I just wanted to play the games that were on here. It is, I mean, it's laid out just like an old Game Boy, which is nice. One thing to note here, it does have HDMI out, so you can uh, play something on here and play it on a bigger screen, a TV or something like that. But here's the port on the top here, and if you can see that, it is not a typical HDMI port. You can see that there. It's not your typical HDMI port. It's an HDMI mini. So not a very common cable that people would have, I don't think. It's not a very commonly used port, and it does not come in the box. So if you're going to use this and you want to project it onto a TV for playing it like that, then you will have to purchase an HDMI mini to HDMI cable as well. So something very important to note here, because I didn't and don't have one of those, but it does have the USB-C charger on the bottom, which is nice because that's kind of your standard charging now. And playing some games, I did enjoy it. I mean, it's the volume does get pretty loud. I don't know if you can hear that. That's just the Crash team, or the Crash Bandicoot game, and that was one that I did actually enjoy playing for a little while. And the Sonic games, very nostalgic for me, and I enjoyed those a lot here. The gameplay is just as you'd expect. It's basically like playing on a PlayStation 1, but in the palm of your hand, which is pretty nice. And if you go back to like the Game Boy games, Road Rash and stuff like that, It's pretty much the exact same graphics, and it's nice because you have that USB charging. You don't have to swap out batteries all the time. So overall, pretty cool thing for maybe like maybe for a short road trip or just something to do to pass the time. But I don't think it's anything you're going to spend hours doing by any means, unless you're really into those Pokemon games, which can be lengthy, or games like that. So that's my overall thoughts of the Anbernic RG35. Cool little thing here. Very nostalgic for sure. So if you're looking into one of these, hopefully I answered your questions and hopefully you found this review helpful.